Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. So I have a question today from Dory. You may see me squinting a little bit. This has nothing to do with Dory. It's just because, for whatever reason, her question printed very, very tiny from my printer. So Dory says, I have a question for you. I listened to your podcast from with Joe Bailey, and I get the concept of going with your gut instincts. But how do I know the difference between my gut and my fears that are just trying to keep me safe? For example, I'm really struggling with dating right now, and I have a lot of fears around thinking of things that are wrong with the guys I go out with, which turns me off from liking them, and then I ruin it. I also find that the guys I like don't like me, and the ones that like me, I don't like them because I'm not attracted to them usually. I know this is common for a lot of people, but I just don't know how to go about it anymore. I'm thinking of just messaging a few guys I've either rejected or they haven't reached out to me in a while, but just to see if they're maybe still interested. My head is telling me all the reasons why this is not a good idea, but my gut is saying it would be fun to just give it another try and see where it goes. Maybe I could just be friends. I guess I just don't want to get hurt, and I don't want to hurt them if I end up really not liking them. Does that make sense? Anyway, my main question is just how do I know or trust my instincts versus my fears? So it's a great question, Dory, and I was excited to speak to it because again, we can talk about it for you with dating, but it has nothing to do with dating in particular or any area of life. This is a really common question that people ask, and I think what's really interesting. So how do you know whether it's your gut or your instincts, and how do you live by that versus just fear, and when does that get in the way? And I guess to me it looks so simple, it's kind of hard. So it's so simple in that instincts, we are lived by instincts. In many ways, we're just lived by gut feelings. Meaning, when I say we're lived by that, we're doing what we see to do. We're doing what makes sense. We don't have to think about it. You don't have to know the difference. You don't have to feel like you're following your gut. That's kind of irrelevant. That's a whole other thing. You don't have to feel the absence of fear. There can be a ton of fear there, and you're still doing what feels right to you. So I want you to kind of look at it in that direction, which is more like there's a narrator in our head that's constantly talking, right? It's talking about who you like and who you don't like and who you should date and why you don't like these people and why you like these people. It's just having a full-on conversation full of meaning, full of preferences and judgments about everything. That's what a mind does. That's what our narrator does. It's just always talking. Now, I want you to kind of consider that conversation, you don't need it. It'll be happening forever. Sometimes you're very aware of it and tuned in. Sometimes it's background noise. Sometimes you might not hear it whatsoever. A lot of times you might not hear it whatsoever. For long periods of time, it can be any of those things. But really, really kind of see if you can get a feel for this. That narration of how do I feel in this? And is this even the narration of, is this my gut or is this my fear? That is a narrator that is talking over life as life is unfolding. It's like this overlay of opinion and meaning and purpose and judgment and all of those words that we think we need to figure out. It's overlaid upon perfection unfolding, life unfolding in this absolutely natural, perfect way with an overlay of a narrator talking about it. So if the narrator's conversation is totally unneeded, it's not helpful. I mean, I don't know. It feels comforting. It feels familiar. However it feels doesn't really matter. But I want you to sit with the what if. Don't believe me, but just hold this out as a what if. What if? Don't need anything from that. Then what? Then what are you left with? Constant conversation, but then there's just Dory swiping one way or another, calling this guy back, texting that guy back, ignoring that one, doing whatever occurs to you to do. Now, I think where we get turned around and messed up and confused in life is we're listening to this narrator, and the narrator wants a reason for everything. The narrator wants it all to make sense. The narrator says, why this one and not that one? you like this guy, so he probably won't like you, and you don't like that one. So, like, it's working this all out. It's keeping track of everything. It's saying that's 4 guys in a row now that you had no interest in. What does that mean for your future? Like, that is exactly what a narrator will do. That everybody's narrator. That has nothing to do with you. But again, remember, just play this out and hold it as a what if. What if that's irrelevant? It's just background noise. It's just an overlay. It has nothing to do with you in your life. Now, again, I think I got off track, but what I was going to say is where it gets confusing is we listen to that and we think it's telling us important information. We can get really caught up in that. And if your narrator says you're being too picky or you're not being picky enough or whatever, like, or you're not listening to your gut and you're listening to too much fear, then we believe that, right? And then we start, your narrator says, you really should go out with him even if you don't really like him. And that's where it gets confusing. But this is where, again, all of the rest of nature, I say the rest of nature because we are nature, there is no difference. We have a brain and a narrator, but other than that, there is no fundamental difference between you and a tree or a bunny or anything else. All of the rest of nature doesn't get tangled up in this narrator because they don't have it in the same way. And things are just done that make sense. There is living by instinct happening. We have living by instinct happening, but we get confused about it and we overthink it because we have this narrator that sounds very smart. Sounds like us. So think about a kid, a little kid, goes towards certain people, gravitates toward them, pulls away when they've had enough, goes toward these people. They don't overthink it. They don't think, why is this person want to be my friend and that one doesn't, and I should here and I shouldn't there. There isn't any of that. If that conversation's happening, they don't really care. They are just doing what makes sense. Animals, nature, all of it, right? It's just what makes sense. And I just want you to kind of play with that a little bit. Just kind of see, okay, what if that's true? What if I can just trust what I'm moved toward, period? And the voice in my head will want proof and evidence and to see where it's going and all of that, meaning, but that's just what a voice in a head does. I can just let life pull me toward people and away from people with absolutely no meaning on any of it. It's huge. So the whole thing about kind of trusting our instincts is kind of a funny thing too. That's a narrator saying, can you trust this? What are you trusting? Is it your fear or your gut? Think about like touching a hot stove. Once you touch a hot stove, you pull your hand away, that learning has happened. That instinct is there to pull your hand away from a hot stove. The whole idea of trusting it is irrelevant. You don't need to trust it. Like, it's just gonna happen. It's an instinct. It's gonna happen, right? Like, animals don't trust their instincts. They just live by instinct. Trusting an instinct is like a mental thing. That's your mind again saying, can you trust this? Maybe you should trust that instead. That's a whole other realm. And again, I know this is really big and new sometimes to people, which is like this whole conversation that's been overlaid on life, that's talking about everything and adding all this meaning. What if it literally gives you nothing that you need? We think we need to listen to that in some way, like it's working things out for us. It's trying to, but we are fully able, better than ever, to just let life live us, to not have to consult that and get all complicated on that. And it just makes things so much easier. So play with this, Dory. Like, see, like if I knew nothing, if nothing mattered, if there was no good or bad, if none of this had anything to do with my future, who do I gravitate toward, and who do I gravitate away from? Period. You don't need a reason for it. It doesn't have to make sense. Like, watch where life moves you. That's all your gut. That's all life living you. And when you hear all the conversation and the talking about it, you just kind of smile and wave, and you know what that's about. I'm really, really curious for you to play with that a little bit and see how that goes for you. Dating, so many things, dating included, so easy to just think the heck out of and just think it to death with the meaning and and truly we don't need that. We live so much better and happier and easier when we're not listening to all the reasoning. It's very safe. It's safer than you think. It's the safest, nicest, easiest, most joyful way to live. We're just not used to it. We're just very used to all the reasons and the meaning. So let me know if this is helpful. I hope it's helpful for others too. Again, applies to all of life, not just dating. And send your questions to askamy at thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. The Little School of Big Change, the spring course. It's weird to say spring because there's like a foot of snow outside, but the February-March course, which is our spring course, I guess, begins February 7th. So it's in a few weeks. Look into it. It's all new content. It'll be great to have you guys. Thanks, everyone. Send your questions, and I'll see you back next week. Have a great week.